What is curiosity and how to become deeply curious? Before I start this video, I have 4 definitions of curiosity that I would like to tell you. Now, the first one is curiosity is a strong desire to know or learn something new. This can manifest as a natural sense of wonder and exploration, or as an intentional effort to seek out new knowledge and experiences. The second one is curiosity is a mindset of openness and willingness to explore the unknown. It involves a willingness to question assumptions, challenge conventional wisdom, and embrace uncertainty and ambiguity. The third is curiosity is an emotion that arises from a gap in our knowledge or understanding. It motivates us to seek out information and experiences that can help fill this gap, and can be a powerful driver of learning, discovery, and personal growth. And the fourth one is curiosity is a natural human inclination to seek out and explore new information, ideas, and experiences. It involves a desire to know more about the world and to understand how things work. Curiosity drives us to ask questions, seek out new information, and explore the unknown. Now, if you've ever seen a very young kid, they're very curious. They pick up a blade of grass and they look at it with just this amazement and this sense of not really knowing what anything is. They pick up a rock, they look at their hand, they look at themselves in the mirror, and everything is very intriguing to them because they have no real idea what anything is. And as we begin to get older, we begin to acquire beliefs and interpretations and labels of what everything is. We say this is a hand, pine cone, rock, blade of grass, etc. And our curiosity about the world begins to decrease as we believe we think we have the answers to what everything is. Now, curiosity is absolutely essential for really living the best life that you can possibly live. This is a very authentic emotion to human beings, and it is an absolute shame to actually waste really the potential that curiosity begins to bring out in you. Now, I have a bunch of quality/skills on the board here that are associated with curiosity that I'm going to get into basically right now. Now, the first one is open-mindedness. And I want to go back to thinking about the kid for a second. The kid is kind of just open. The kid doesn't really have any preconceived ideas about what the world is or what he is or what other people are or anything like that. The kid is kind of just open, and the first bit of information that comes his way enters his mind. And unfortunately, we usually just latch on to that first bit of information. We begin to form a worldview around the information that's exposed to us when we're young. We begin to get very attached to it, very identified with it. We build a whole sense of reality out of that information that really comes our way. So the kid is kind of just open and waiting to get something new. And this is an attitude that needs to be developed, and just really a skill. Like I said, it's a quality/a skill. It's a bit of both. It's actually something you have to intentionally cultivate, to just be open to something new, about something that you previously thought you already knew everything about. Now, I want to talk about something kind of interesting in regards to open-mindedness. Now, when I say be new, I mean, be open to something new. Be open to something new about literally anything, like what you believe a hand is. Now, in 500 years, we're going to have a lot of radically new information about the human body that's going to completely throw away the paradigm of the human body that we have now. And unless we're open and willing to investigate and question our current ways of thinking, our methods, and change all of that, we will just be stuck. And really, we need to have the openness to question the overlooked obvious, like what actually is a hand fundamentally? What is the actual substance of a hand? If you say cells, what's that made out of? Which is made out of what? Made out of what? Made out of what? And on it goes. So really, just taking one example, what is a hand fundamentally made out of? Right there, we don't really know what a hand is really actually made out of at the core. We're really asking a very probing question about what reality is made out of when we begin to ask, what is a hand? The next one is inquiry. This has to do with actually investigating things. Really, that can be anything. That can be a guitar and being curious about how to play it, being curious about reading various books, being curious about watching various YouTube videos, asking questions, and actually learning and intentionally seeking out understanding around a particular topic. Like, how does society evolve? Where did society come from? How do I form meaningful relationships? How do I develop the career that I want? And you can actually get curious about that and seek out powerful knowledge and understanding that can help you progress yourself in those areas of your life. Moving on is creativity. Now, creativity is about coming up with innovative ideas and getting us to challenge the way that we currently think, really. Creativity is not just painting, although that's awesome. Creativity is not just playing the guitar, although this is all creative stuff. Creativity also has a lot to do with challenging ourselves in new ways that we previously never really thought of. It's about just breaking out of old habits and old paradigms, old routines, old structures, old systems, and being able to do something new, but something that also works. So it's not like we just tear down the old in with the new. The new has to really include what was correct about the old ways and then begin to build off of it. So just because something's new doesn't actually mean it's good, obviously. But really, when it comes to creativity, it's good to really study what worked and actually also stay with what works. Don't throw out, what works, but begin to reinvent, systems, ways of thinking, routines, habits, schedules around what had worked. So you take what's valuable and you leave what isn't valuable. Perseverance is another one. This is really all about being persistent in pursuing knowledge and understanding. And really, even when you face an obstacle or a challenge, you're able to still continuously move forward with the thing that you're actually, inquiring into. So it's important to see all of these as like a network of various qualities, skills, practices, and stuff like that, that all have to be intentionally developed in order to really become very curious. And really being curious is a radically life-changing thing. You can actually begin to ask very powerful questions and begin to relate to people and yourself and all of life in a very different way that can really leave a lasting imprint on your psyche, on how your mind actually sees the world, on how your mind naturally operates. So adaptability is another one. This is about exploring new and unfamiliar situations, which can require an ability to embrace uncertainty. So when we are curious and we're trying to get something new, there needs to be an embracing of uncertainty. We are trying to move past what we are comfortable with and what we presently understand into something so new, so radical, so different that we couldn't even have thought it was possible. Another one is critical thinking. So curious individuals tend to be critical thinkers, questioning assumptions and considering multiple perspectives to arrive at their conclusion. So an interesting example of this can be basically, of course, Albert Einstein is obviously a perfect example, but anyone really who is able to study and synthesize various points of view. So for example, within, let's say, business, you can find a lot of various people who say you can create an online business like this, or like this, or like this. And these are all various points of view that are going towards really like the same goal, for example, of creating an online business. And it's interesting to be able to jump from one point of view to another, and begin to see a lot of the value that each point of view has. And this can then begin to connect a bunch of dots in your mind so that you can begin to really see things from a more broad context, from like a bigger picture context. Also, when it comes to the world, for example, I have a great book called Systems Thinking. Systems thinking is all about seeing various points of view and various parts within a larger system. So systems thinking involves, let's say we're dealing with a society. It involves understanding how, let's say, the natives relate to the immigrants and how that can affect, let's say, education, which can affect healthcare, which can affect how we, vote. And it basically takes all these kinds of stuff, and it begins to observe the relationships between them and how really everything is actually interconnected and affecting everything else. So something that we can think of as separate, like, the relationship that we have to our, let's say, planet, our relationship to the environment, and how we teach, children. We can think of these things as two very separate things, but really they are not very separate. How we are treating the world around us is actually going to affect our ability to also teach our kids well. And that really, as we become, I guess, more conscious, more psychologically evolved, more developed, we begin to develop a more holistic picture of the world around us. We begin to actually see these various interconnections and make them in our minds, and they actually become significant to us. They don't become some sort of philosophical, fun, sitting around, daydreaming kind of thing, but it's very practical. It actually really affects how we go about living our day-to-day life and our whole really, way of life as a culture. The next one is empathy. So this involves taking an interest in understanding the perspectives and experiences of other people, which basically leads to a deeper appreciation of diversity, because we're all very unique, we're all very different. People have a lot of unique skills, experiences, lives, childhood upbringings, parents, things like that, relationships, and it's interesting to see how a lot of this stuff shapes people over a period of time. And really, it's interesting because a lot of our life experiences really bring us to certain conclusions about life, brings us to certain beliefs and ways of seeing the world that can have some truth in them, but then there's also this perspective over here that also has truth in it. And really we begin to cling to our point of view a little bit too much, and it becomes a little bit ideological, closed, can be kind of fixed, a bit dogmatic. And really empathy is really necessary for beginning to see things from other people's points of view and actually be okay with a point of view that is different from yours. That's really the challenge I'm trying to get at, is being okay with a point of view that is actually different from yours. So let's say I say something that you disagree with, even though maybe there's some truth in it, but you just don't like it because you hold another point of view as, the one you prefer. Like, let's say, for example, I say, I like this kind of music. Let's use something very innocent. Like, I like this kind of music. And you're like, no, I like this kind of music. And now we have a bit of a disagreement. You can begin to feel a little bit of tension whenever people kind of disagree on even small preferences like that. And really, I've been noticing within the last 4 or 5 months that when I'm very curious and when I tap into curiosity around why people prefer the things they prefer and I ask them questions, I kind of open them up more, the relationship goes a lot more smoothly. And not only that, but I actually begin to learn about the actual person and about, the things that they enjoy, and it begins to actually intrigue me. Like, I want to actually understand it. So now I just got to give you guys some tips. So the first one is ask questions. This is the biggest one. Instead of just asserting your preconceived beliefs and knowledge onto a situation, instead, you can actually just ask probing questions about a situation. Just begin to ask 5 questions about every situation that you stumble upon, really. Like, begin to actively investigate the things that are going on. So cultivating a growth mindset as well, basically embracing the idea that your abilities and intelligence can be developed over time. This can help you to approach new challenges with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to learn. Another one is just learning something new. Pick up a book about relationships if you haven't read one of those. Pick up a book about self-help or Zen Buddhism or science. Basically just picking up new information that you haven't actually learned before, that you are relatively ignorant of. So just basically getting something new in your head that you previously would have overlooked or just didn't really care about. Another good one is be present. So pay attention to the world around you and observe things in detail. This can help you to notice things you may have overlooked before. So pay attention to your senses. Pay attention to the feelings in your hand and how they're constantly changing and they kind of feel like a flow. Pay attention to the actual sensations in your arm, in your body. Really look at your hand up close. Observe its fine details. Really begin to use your senses, actively using your senses, like actively putting awareness into your feeling sense to investigate reality. Embracing uncertainty is another one. Taking risks is another one, and engaging with others. So taking risks involves trying new things, even if they feel uncomfortable and familiar. Embracing uncertainty is all about, instead of avoiding uncertainty, looking to be curious and open to the new possibilities that uncertainty brings. And another one is engaging with others. So actually actively engaging in conversations with other people who have different perspectives and experiences than you. And another tip is actually meditation. This one is an extremely important one for developing curiosity because through meditation we can actually observe ourselves and our own blocks to curiosity. We begin to develop a lot of very profound qualities that are absolutely essential for becoming deeply curious. So meditation can create a calm and clear mind, which is very important for enhancing mental clarity, reducing stress and anxiety, things like that. And all of this is basically, you're more likely to be open and receptive to new experiences, and you're more likely to be curious and open to learning when you have a calm, clear mind that can focus in a very sharp way and is free from fears. Because a lot of our really biggest block to curiosity is fear, which I'll be explaining shortly. So increasing self-awareness is also something amazing. So meditation can increase self-awareness and help individuals to identify their own interests, passions, and motivations. This can help guide their curiosity and direct it towards areas of personal interest and growth. Enhancing focus and concentration is another one. Like I said, this basically helps you to stay engaged in the present moment so that you can actually be curious, because if you're not engaged in the present moment, you're not going to be curious. You're going to be kind of dull, maybe lethargic, unmotivated, scared, things like that, avoidant, distracted, things like this. Meditation also supports a growth mindset. So this emphasizes the potential for personal growth and learning. Moving on, I have a bunch of practices. Well, meditation was the first one. I have some more practices for you that can help you to become curious. And I want to point out that this stuff is very active. You actually have to actively do it. It's not like you can watch this video and then just like be curious. It's really going to begin to work when you implement the practices into your life. Because by implementing the practices, you actually begin to develop a lot of these skills. So like I said, these are skills that need to be actively worked on through these practices, and these are the blocks to developing curiosity within yourself. So the first one is exploration. Schedule time each day to explore new ideas or activities, even if it's just for a few minutes. Another one is read widely. So read books, articles, and blogs about topics that interest you, as well as topics that you know little about. Asking questions is really important as well, because this helps you to seek out information from a variety of sources. Really, to sum up those last three, and basically to sum up all of these, if I had to, it's openness to new experiences and seeing things from a different point of view, being able to abandon, not so much abandon, but at least temporarily drop our point of view that we have, clung to and used so much, and just being able to see something from a completely new lens that can really reshift our perspective and our relationship to whatever we are looking at, whether it's our ideas on relationships or our ideas on our career, things like that. So another one is pursuing new experiences. This is about trying new things, food, traveling, new books, new instrument, whatever it is. Another one is practice active listening. So talking to people and actually asking them about their life experiences is actually really, really powerful. And then actually listen to them. So I have a whole video on how to actively listen and emotionally support other people. You can check that one out. But active listening has a lot to do with just being receptive to them, being open, not interrupting, not waiting to speak, and actually using your ears. And I'm going to repeat that, actually using your ears. When we are listening to people, we are typically just waiting to speak. We're waiting for our turn to impose our language, our words, onto the conversation rather than just actively listening, actually resting in the sensory experience of listening, bringing attention to listening. Another one is embracing failure, so don't be afraid to make mistakes, stuff like that. Be really just looking at failures as opportunities to grow. Another good one is play, so engaging in playful activities that allow you to experiment and explore new ideas and possibilities. Literally, like, just start juggling. Pick up some balls and just start juggling, or play with a bouncy ball. Go play with a basketball, shoot some hoops, buy a longboard, ride a bike, things like this. Stuff, basically anything that begins to get you engaged in the present moment. If you like to sing, sing. If you like to speak to a camera, speak to a camera. If you like to read and write, read and write. Basically, whatever you identify to be a playful activity that makes you feel connected to the present moment. Seeking out diverse perspectives is really important, so this can be done through traveling, conversation, reading, watching videos, and basically any form of information, really just gathering in various forms of information. Not being afraid to read about business, to careers, to relationships, to like dating coaches and self-help and the psychology of money and child psychology and psychotherapy, to evolutionary psychology, to biology, being able to study all these diverse perspectives and then bring them together in order to get a big picture overview of the world, really, and of yourself. Another one is keep a journal. So actually document your observations, insights, and questions and reflect on your experiences. And another one is find a mentor. Actually hire a coach, hire a life coach, hire a mentor who can actually keep you on track, inspire you, and challenge you. I'm actually offering free one-to-one services, so you can actually book me if you'd like that. And really, just even hanging out with human beings in general who inspire you, challenge you, and are interested in personal growth. This begins to rub off on you because their sort of enthusiasm and their energy about it begins to sort of mirror in you. You begin to pick it up from them. And I want to give you 9 examples of human beings who are considered to be very curious people. A lot of them are scientists and spiritual masters as well. So Albert Einstein, of course, that one's just a perfect example. Galileo, the classic Galileo. Charles Darwin, Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, Rumi. I don't know if you guys know Rumi. He's a poet and a mystic who explored the spiritual dimensions of life and is known for his profound insights into the nature of existence. He, I believe, is like a Muslim poet. Siddhartha Gautama, which is the Buddha. Lao Tzu, who is the founder of Taoism and explored the nature of reality and the balance between opposing forces. And the last one is Jesus of Nazareth, who had a massive, he emphasized personal spiritual experiences and really, he really began to question established religious institutions, stuff like that. He was very revolutionary for his time. So those are some good examples. Moving on to various blocks. The first one is fears. So fear can be a major block to curiosity. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and other forms of fear can all prevent individuals from being curious and exploring new ideas and experiences. So another one is being unmotivated. This is another huge one that can get in the way, because if we are not motivated to question, we immediately block out our curiosity. If we're not motivated and interested in understanding, then we begin to block out our curiosity. If an individual is not interested in a particular topic or does not see the value of something, they may not be interested or motivated to explore it further. Another one is assumptions and biases. Here, I'm going to move over here. Assumptions and biases, this is one of the biggest ones. This is all of these work together, but really assumptions and biases is a very interesting one, because we have assumed that we know what all the objects around us are. We know what I am. We know what humans are. We know what the world is. We know who to vote for. We know what religion is right, which one's wrong, or if any of them are even right or wrong. We really have a lot of beliefs about everything, about what this present moment is and how it got here. And really, it's this exact kind of stuff that we need to question, or like, what is a relationship and how to have a good relationship and what is a healthy relationship, or what do I even want to do for a career, and like, what's a healthy career, stuff like this. So assumptions and biases can also block curiosity. If an individual has preconceived ideas or beliefs about a particular topic, they may be less likely to question those assumptions and explore new ideas that challenge them. The next one is comfort zone. So staying within one's comfort zone can be a major block to curiosity. If an individual is not willing to step outside of their familiar routines and experiences, they may miss out on opportunities for new learning and growth. That one is big. We are very addicted to comfort as human beings. We're very addicted to our sense of safety and security. And whenever we begin to step out of that, it's very unsettling. And I know it sounds corny to say get out of your comfort zone, but actually, when you are scared, what do? Odds are when you're scared, you get very contracted and very tense, and you begin to avoid or distract yourself or numb yourself. You probably have a lot of habits that are a lot like this. And it's really important to begin to actively make yourself uncomfortable, to actively go out and challenge the assumptions that you have, challenge the beliefs that you have. Seek new experiences, read new books that you didn't think you would read, things like that. Information overload is the next one. So too much information can also be a block to curiosity. When there is an overwhelming amount of information available, it can be difficult to know where to start and what to focus on, which can lead to a sense of overwhelm and paralysis, which brings us to the next one, is just being closed-minded. So when we're closed-minded, we are kind of just stuck. Our mind is stuck in a particular state, and it's just unable to change. So this basically blocks out any new opportunities for learning, growth, any form of improvement, and any form of change. And all curiosity has to do with change. Curiosity has a lot to do with just getting something new, especially about the overlooked obvious. That's the biggest one that I can emphasize. To question is the stuff that we believe we already know, like what is a human, what is gender, a nice ideological topic right there. What actually is a woman? Like, how do we define a woman? Does every woman fit into our definition of woman? Really, a lot of the stuff that we take as just the way reality is, just the way my life is, just who I am, just who they are, this is the kind of stuff that we really need to question. It's the stuff that is held closest to our hearts. It's the stuff that is the most near and dear to us. It's the stuff that we cling to because we're too afraid to let it go. That's the exact stuff that we need to really be letting go and actively questioning. That's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And other than that, take it easy.